Hello everyone and welcome to another video from the Pro Traders Lounge. My name is Yunus and I will be giving you an update on the Elliott wave count. Let's begin with where we left off last week. Let's go over that. Alright, last week I was more looking at the bearish scenario that we covered. Obviously I was tracking this to be some kind of an A, B, C expanding flat to the upside. Then we ended up with a nice impulse at the end, like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as you can see. And then we were going over the scenarios that this could be possibly the top that could be in, and that we could expect some kind of a retracement. Depending on if we held some of our key levels, we could have said, okay, the move is more bearish, so the bearish scenario becomes more likely, or we also have a bullish scenario that becomes more likely if we can hold our key levels. So in the end, yeah, we're expecting some kind of a three-wave move into that. And then see what happens at the 25k area. For me, that remains a key level. Again, nothing changed about that. But for the bearish scenario, obviously you really need to start to lose that key level. And we can go over that where we are right now. So again, the same scenario, A, B, C to the upside. And then, yeah, more locally, it did change here a little bit, because I do think that it becomes more likely that we do see more of a bullish scenario as time passes on here, because it does become more like extended into, like, it's not really showing me the bearish signs that I want to see for the bearish scenario. So that's why I do want to cover the bullish scenario a little bit more in depth tonight. So yeah, because of that, the way that we came down here in a nice three wave, but we didn't see any continuation here. Maybe on the next attempt we should have seen some continuation, but that also didn't happen. So now we are still moving more sideways, which leaves more room, in my opinion, to just move up again. So it becomes less likely that the bearish scenario now is playing out, especially since we are still holding that key area here. You could say it's more of an area here, 25k. You can clearly see it is turning into support. So for me, still waiting to see sign of weakness. For me, there's nothing not showing so far. So let's go over the bullish scenario a little bit more in depth here. So there was a few adjustments that I made for the bullish scenario. For me, I did change this first section also into a nice impulse, so it's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now. But instead of then being like the end of the expanding flat, it is just the end of a wave A, which then we would expect some kind of a retracement as we are seeing now, but it is some kind of a nice ABC to eventually then see another big push to the upside. So that's the approach that I'm taking right now, is that it becomes more likely that this is playing out, that we are now seeing some kind of a sideways corrective move here, and then we would see another push to the upside. So let's take a look at that a little bit more in depth here. So again, ended the wave A here, and then we were looking for some kind of a nice three-wave move into this, and then before a push up. So for me, the first section here is pretty clear. You can see right here you have a nice three-wave structure that ended something. If you go a little bit more locally, you can clearly see there's a nice impulse here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the end, which then immediately says to me, like, okay, something ended there, especially when you have like all of this before that. So I could clearly say, okay, something ended there. For me, it looks like either it's a 3-3-5 or a 5-3-5. That doesn't really matter. This the kind of structure. The thing is just that I know something ended there, and then what comes after that is the most important. So as you can see here, for me, there's not really an impulse here. It looks more like a three-wave structure. So you can clearly say, okay, the correction hasn't finished yet. Something here, something in this first section is still making a bigger corrective move. Excuse me. Before then eventually seeing another push to the downside, I would assume, just because of the first section that we have here. So for this next thing that I'm looking at is probably something like this, three-wave move again, and then maybe another move to the downside, maybe an impulse, who knows, we don't know that yet, but it could also be another three-wave. So I will go over the local count in a second, but yeah, the idea is still the same, some kind of an ABC for then another push to the upside. Most likely going to be an impulse. That's what I would prefer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the upside. And then we were gonna look at the area of 40k, because we still have some key levels there that I'm looking to see what happens there. Do we some continuation above that, then I would say, okay, there's another more bullish scenario, but I'm gonna focus on this scenario for now. I'm gonna stay a little bit more conservative. Instead of saying like, okay, we're going to $100,000, I would like to stay a little bit more conservative on those calls and see what happens if we do start to push up, and see the reactions that we do have to like break before we can say like, okay, this is more bullish. And then we really could say like, okay, maybe we can call out some higher levels, but for now I would remain a little bit more conservative on that. It's just not my style of staying like, okay, we're going to 100,000 from here. So in terms of like the local count, I do want to go over that a little bit more in depth here. So then this structure becomes a little more clear. Like, okay, well, why do I say it looks like it's more corrective than really impulsive to the downside? For example, you could say the first section here, whether you say it's an impulse, doesn't really matter, but this is clearly some kind of a three-wave structure. Then you have a nice impulse here at the end, which then ends this A. And then the next section here, you could say, okay, here you have a nice three-wave, looks like a zigzag. We can go a little bit more local, even the 1 hour, so this structure becomes a little more clear. But let's see here. Let's remove this here. Obviously it's a bit sharp, but you get what I mean. You can clearly see there's a nice impulse here, and sideways, another impulse. So it looks like a zigzag, which then finished like something like this, an A. Then we have another 3, and then another 3 and a 5. So we could see some B ended there. And now we are looking for some kind of a move out of there. For me, I would have liked to see an impulsive move, so a quick move to the upside. Do I already see that? Not really yet. I think it's still developing here on the 4 hourly. There is some kind of an impulse here, 1, 2, perhaps. Something like this. We are still making our way, depending on if it gets an extension or not, how high this will get. But I do still see the potential of us coming higher here. There's some key levels in between. For example, the end of wave A here, we have some liquidity resting above that. There's a key level in my opinion. If we do manage to push up higher here, see what happens there. Do we swing failure that? Then you could say, okay, maybe that's a nice position to be in a short, because we are still expecting eventually either we move down from there or we even push higher first and then move lower again. That's what I would expect, at least. So there's a few key levels in between, but the local count for me remains pretty much the same there. So I'm expecting some kind of a push higher, whether it turns into a three wave, maybe something like this, or an impulse just like that. We'll see, have to see for that, but I like the idea of an impulse and it's just a 3-3-5 structure. It's the simplest thing you can track, and yeah, I like to keep it as simple as possible always with my counts. It might seem a little bit confusing, but really it's really the simplest counts you can have. So yeah, for me, I'm remaining a little bit more patient here for the local count, see what happens here. Let's go again. Maybe we can dissect this a little bit deeper, but if this is just wave 1, 2, maybe you do have an extension here, you could say. And there's a few, yeah, there's two options I would say here. Either you go with the extension, but there's another option here. Maybe this is 1, 2, and this was 3, 4, and then we have the last push to the upside here. That's to be more conservative, I would say. And then you would finish some kind of a nice impulse here. Obviously wave 3 is already smaller than wave 1, as you can clearly see, so wave 5 cannot be longer than wave 3 here, depending on how low this gets. Let's say there's the invalidation here. For discount, the invalidation is clear, so something like that. And then you would be aiming for that liquidity grab above wave A, something around there. And that would be a nice, yeah, kind of a scenario. So 1, 2, 3, and then a last push to the upside, maybe taking the liquidity, and then yeah, possibly making a retracement again, something like that. That's one of the scenarios you could be tracking. It does seem quite likely, we'll see. Or the other option is going to be something like this, that you do have some kind of an extension. It's always possible that it does go higher than we expect, 3, 4, 5, and then we are talking about this. Let's make this a little bit bigger degree, and then this is just wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of wave 3, something like that, which is also nice, of course. And yeah, then we are aiming for a lot higher, of course. Let's zoom out here a little bit. Let's go on the 4 hour here, get some fib targets for that wave B. Gold zone is going to be a little bit far away, 0.5 perhaps, something like that. Let's get the targets of C. We do have an extension here. Expand that perhaps. Yeah, we have a few targets here, so you could be aiming for somewhere around 28,200, but yeah, there's not much there. Or yeah, I do like the target of 29k around there. That's also a very nice box, I would say. So then you would expect still a higher move up, something like that, and then eventually just turning it around again for that last wave C or wave X, we don't know yet. Then this turns, if it's an impulse here at the end, then you say okay, A, B, C, but if it turns out to be a 3 wave here at the end, something like that, then you just label it W, X, and then Y at the end here. But yeah, that is pretty much what I'm looking at right now. I would be aiming for, but still like a little bit higher. Either we take the liquidity here at 27,600, that's something I'm aiming for, or even higher, 29k, depending on how much strength we have here from the bulls. Do we breach above that and then just keep going higher to 29k? That's a key area I'm looking at, so we'll see for that counts. But yeah, and then eventually, if we do get like a nice impulse here at the end, I would still be aiming for 25k. It remains at my key level. See what happens there. Do we then get continuation below that? Sign of weakness. Or if we just see some kind of a nice reversal pattern or a sign of strength, you could really be aiming then for those, like the first target I showed you. Let's go over that again, 1 second. So, say we're still in this B, make this impulse to the downside, reclaim that key level maybe, and then you could really be aiming for 40k, in my opinion. Obviously there are levels in between, always, but that's pretty much how I would approach that as a swing trader, for example. So, so you could always wonder, like, okay, those Elliott wave counts are nice. You have like those nice A, B, C's and then stuff like that. But how do you trade that? That's also, I mean, the next section that I want to cover is like, that's something that we are important. Like, we have to share with our members those nice trades, obviously. And this is also the plans that we make. Let's go back on this. So we make a plan on like the head and shoulders kind of pattern that I was aiming for a few weeks ago. We had a nice few setups because we had a nice plan. And we came into the ABC, the first ABC that you saw here, ABC. But we made that plan before it actually happened. So it's pretty key to have those plans. And then we can trade it pretty well. So we came down towards 27k. Had those nice long setups here, ready to wait. Came up towards the 29k area. Obviously had those shorts ready, and then we traded all the way down again. So that's pretty much exactly what happened. So you don't really have to do all the complex ABCs and all that stuff, but if you know what you're doing and you know what you're looking for on the charts, like we do in Pro Traders Lounge, you can have those really nice setups. I mean, on a silver platter, like I would say. We just give them out, and they're really, really nice. Those are like 10% moves always. So as a swing trader, this is just lovely, I would say. So I mean, obviously, if you like those kind of setups and stuff like that, it's always on the protraderslounge.com if you want more information on our the website. The website, obviously, also we have the nice upgrade on the website. With some recent few big updates, we have a new dashboard where you can see all of our live session recordings and strategy lessons, of course. If you want to learn about Elliott Wave, this is also on the website for our members. So if you're interested, head on over to protraderslounge.com, and that's pretty much it. So I hope that was pretty clear. If not, leave it in the comments if it wasn't clear. Of course, if you like this video, please hit a thumbs up. We're happy to give out those free YouTube videos as long as we have some feedback from you guys, and we'll see you on the next session. Leave you guys with the last chart here, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one, everybody. Bye bye.